tonight's episode, The Ripoff.
Oh, thank you. So I got the 5x5 over here, and then I thought everything was good. Thanks, Ghost. So now I'll start all over again, I guess. I'm about to read some comments.
Oh, thank you. So I got the 5.
Oh, yeah, I'm sitting here listening to myself be silent. All right, so I guess I got to start this whole thing over again. We're about to read some comments from the ATF. The ATF is the Regulatory and Enforcement Bureau of the executive branch of our three-branch government. As part of the process, they're not allowed to just do. The individual bureaucrats who are in positions to run the ATF, they're not allowed to just do. They have a procedure when they want to change or infringe. And part of that process or procedure is to put up comment periods. And they do that on another piece of the government called regulations.gov. Unprecedentedly, is that the right word? Unlike ever before, the ATF has decided to push 2 comment periods concurrently. One of them started 30 days before the other. We're now in a 2-month period of concurrent 2 comment periods, 2 directions the ATF wishes to infringe in major ways on the rights protected by the Second Amendment. And as they say in that little saying that everybody likes to ignore, liberty requires eternal vigilance. Part of that eternal vigilance is dealing with the unscrupulous adversaries who would use the bureaucracy against us. So we're looking at the video that we're actually in right now. And then we're looking at the comments to the video. And in there we have the numbers from just the other day. I think I did the last one a couple of days ago, so it was in the middle of the weekend. I'm hoping that the comment periods will now have had some time to take in whatever comments came in over the weekend and add them to their system so we can compare the numbers, and then we'll read some comments. So looking at the description of this video currently, I'm about to change it. We'll click over to edit video real quick so I can change it. And flipping over, let me zoom this down so we can see a little easier. All right, so going to the first one, the one that they started first, the one that I think is more important, the redefinition of frame or receiver of a firearm. That one had 88,207 comments received. It now has 88,609. What? Yeah, there's a difference of 400 comments have been received on the redefinition of firearms. since the last time the ATF has updated this. Next up is how many of those are approved, and they were at 86.9, now they're at 87.35. So 87,000 comments, 350. That's an amazing percentage or ratio of comments to approve. They've never done that before. They have always approved a much lighter ratio of comments that were submitted versus how many were approved. And then we're going to go check real quick on the braces. The factoring criteria for firearms with attached stabilizing braces. And last time we checked, there were 120,296 comments received. Now there are 220,808. So yeah, about 600 comments came in since the last time the ATF updated. And that should be the whole weekend, right? This is Tuesday. I was down for a day fixing a roof. So this is Tuesday. So they've definitely had time over the weekend to update this. We have officially no longer sent in comments. We're not sending in comments anymore. So next up is how many of those are approved, and this is unprecedented. So they have 120,808. They claim to have approved 120,040. What? So that's like all but 800 comments have been approved. Sorry, 20. But whatever. All but 800 and something comments have been approved. Or 760 comments have been approved. That's messed up. It's just unprecedented. They've never done that before. All right, so yeah, we've had a whopping hundreds of comments get submitted. So I guess for people that are like, oh, I'm on the fence or whatever, F you. For people that are writing in comments, your comments are the only ones that are going to exist. And then, I'm not going to bother to tell people to write in comments. You get mad when you tell people that aren't going to do something, that their inaction is an action, I guess. So let's go read some of the couple of hundred comments that have come in over the last couple of days. So we're going to go to the comment tab and we'll click on sort newest to oldest and we'll open some up. Right click and open in a new tab, open in a new tab, open in a new tab until we get, I don't know, I got a little while here, I guess. We'll open up 25 of them, which is like 10% of all the new comments that have come in since the last time we read them. How cool is that? Not the anti-cool. Means basically Biden knows now that he can just send two things at once and the community isn't able to keep that kind of attention span. They're going to get us by holding two shiny things in front of our face. So I'm right clicking and opening in a new tab on all of these ones from the redefinition of a firearm. It's only going to be like the upper of an AR is a firearm and the bolt carrier is a firearm and the magazine is a firearm and the barrel is a firearm and the muzzle brake is a firearm. It's no big deal. We just have to have serial numbers and all that stuff. 4473s on everything. Let's see. So next up is the first comment is, oh, nice. 87357. Stop the spread of ghost guns. Keep guns out of the hands of those who should not legally have them. Blink, the government can stop crime. So there's the first one is anti. So the hundreds that come in, maybe they'll all be anti. Oh, look at this. 87,343. This proposed rule is a win for public safety and a loss for any criminals or extremists who want to buy untraceable guns with no background checks and no questions asked. Two antis right off the bat. Boilerplate from some legal lawyer one. Next up, 87352. I am writing to support the ATF's proposed rule that would regulate the untraceable ghost guns. Well, I guess if the gun community is going to just give up on it and give it to the antis, isn't it fun to know that only like 700 ghost or 700 boilerplate emails from the other side is going to take guns away? Next up is 87356. I am writing in support of the ATF's blah, 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 ghost guns. Proposed win is a win for public safety and a loss for criminals or extremists. It should say well, no, criminals are extremists and extremists are criminals. So next up is 87298. Time and again, it has been proven that laws like this one only impact 99.5% of us that are law-abiding and have no ill intentions and are, I'm going to zoom this in, so as we can seize it easier together. There we go. Time and time again, it has been proven that laws like this only impact the 99.5% of us that are law-abiding and have no ill intentions or in our will or ways. The small group here trying to impact by these laws, well, they do not care about the laws in the first place. All this is going to do is cause a lot more expense for the ATF and turn law-abiding citizens into instant criminals. More time and energy needs to be put into the areas where a vast majority of the problem exists. I live in a county with over 100,000 citizens, and a percentage of the gun owners is far, far above the national average. We are not even a blip on the radar as far as gun violence goes. If law-abiding gun owners and guns were the problem, we would be an absolute war zone here. Social programs, education, poverty prevention programs, community outreach programs, job skills training, and mental health access are what solves violence. I feel like I messed up that sentence, so let me read it again. Social programs, education, poverty prevention programs, community outreach programs, job skills training, and mental health access are what solves violence. I still mess it up, but you get it better. The prevention of the implement of violence, the prevention of the implement of violence does nothing, I guess. If someone wants to hurt someone else, they will find a way, and the tool should not be the issue. The issue should be where the urge for violence was created. The CDC research paper on gun control Obama ordered actually showed that gun control measures did the opposite of helping with violence and crime in areas. Or you can look at how violence has dramatically dropped after the end of the late 1980s assault weapons ban. The majority should not be limited in what they are able to do because a small, albeit destructive, group. Prohibition only creates a black market and costly enforcement. The money and time should be spent on things that resolve the matter. These regulations are like trying to fix a collapsing bridge with duct tape. Wow, I'm going to just comment because there's no comments anyway, right? It's only antis commenting anymore. So that was awesome. This is one of my favorite comments, not because it's the only positive comment to come in pretty much, except for one boilerplate copy and paste and all day. Since we've been reading these this morning. This is the only good one, but it's also a really good one. Next. 87316. Ghost guns are a major public safety concern in America, not just the United States, but the entire hemisphere. Ghost gun parts and kits are widely available everywhere. I've seen them at Walmart and can be purchased by anyone, babies and children. You get them in gum, including prohibited purchasers like extremists, domestic abusers who are extremists, and gun traffickers who are extremists without a background check, which extremists should have. I support this proposed rule as it will ensure that these parts kits, which can be easily assembled into functioning firearms, are not sold without a background check and are not untraceable. Whenever you're reading something like an anti at the end, you whisper like Creepy Joe. All right, look at this. There's one boilerplate. This is what it means. There's another boilerplate. Same exact thing. So it's like, oh, I care so much, I'm going to copy and paste. That'll teach the antis. Are we at war with the bureaucracy that has to do the bidding of whoever stands in front of the controls, or are we at war with the asshole bureaucrats who are at the controls? So are you going to let them make you hate your government? Did they win? Or are you going to fight? Next up, 87309. Try to mess with me, 875309. I am writing in support of the ATF's proposed rule that would regulate deadly and untraceable ghost guns. The proposed rule would restrict criminals or extremists. Let's just say and extremists, because both of them are criminals who want to buy and create untraceable guns without a background check. Only a criminal or an extremist would want an untraceable gun. See this pile of shit over here? This is all the anti ones. Every time somebody doesn't write one, 700 antis write one. And then Biden goes, Next up is 87324. I am writing in support of the ATF. All right, here you go, another one. 87329. To whom it may concern. I have been involved in gun violence prevention and pediatric trauma center director since 1988. I have seen family devastation and community ripple effect that gunshot wound victims cause in our society. Not drunk driving or negligence in a pool or not having a thing and your kid falls down the stairs. None of those have ripple effects, but guns do. I lost a dear friend in college in 1981. Oh, look at this guy cares more because he has dates in his email. When a resident in training blah, 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 was murdered with a Saturday night special. Oh crap, this has a lot to do with the redefinition of firearms, a lot. Right in front of our emergency room. And here's another date. The best part is when he flips the dates around, and sometimes it's like a regular date and other times it's like a fancy date with slashes in it. There's no way he's going to put in a whole other date in here. I have run gun buyback programs and gun violence efforts in Pittsburgh. So he's illegally purchasing vast amounts of firearms he doesn't intend to own. And gun violence efforts in Pittsburgh and central Massachusetts for the last 30 years. The bills that will limit the availability of ghost guns. What is a ghost gun? Weapons that can be purchased anonymously and constructed at home with the help of a YouTube video instructions. Well, that's you people. You people on YouTube are what make this happen. Will greatly improve the likelihood we can this guy's a doctor, so he knows more than you. They will greatly improve the likelihood because you want to improve likelihoods. That's what doctors are all about, the science. Let's maybe change the potential. We can prevent further dissemination of gun violence and suicide too. Throw that in there because here's what I'm going to do. Off myself. Oh, I'm not feeling good. You know what? I'm going to go buy a kit and then I'm going to learn how to work the kit and then make the kit. Idiot. I urge the ATF to proceed with the prohibition and then thank you for the opportunity to comment, asshole. So he can't even proofread his own shit. Sloppy doctor. He's a paper doctor. Got through off of cheating off of some girl's test. Oh, snap. $20. Thank you for that. I'll use that money to fix a hole in my roof that's now hopefully not leaking, but yeah, it's leaking still. You like that one? I didn't like that. 87295. I am writing in support of the ATF's proposed rule that would regulate deadly and untraceable ghost guns. Don't allow more which are untraceable. There are already too many guns in people's possessions. God, there's already too many guns in people's possessions. Look at this. So here, people are like, you comment periods don't mean anything. Then how come the antis are using the shit out of it? Look at how many of the antis are using. And it's all cut and paste. Copy, paste, copy, paste. All right, next up, 87300. I am writing in support. There's another one. 87310. I am writing in support.
Comments don't mean nothing. Comments are boring and nobody should do comments because nobody's going to care about the comments.
Guess who's going to have the biggest boner about the comments? We got so many of these comments that say things like, I am writing in support. Okay, so here's boilerplate with paragraph in front of it. We'll read the paragraph. 87318. Please stop taking away our rights. These three branches of government. Legislative makes the laws. Executive enforces those laws. And judicial decides if the laws are just. Last I checked, the ATF is part of the executive branch. So therefore, you cannot and should not be creating law or manipulating how a law is enforced. Balance of power is what makes our country unique and a beacon for the rest of the free world. They don't care about that. They're trying to destroy that, but I hear what you're saying. Next up is 87321. I'm writing in support. Next up, 87338. My name is Blake, last name is his business, and my address is to the Department of Justice and VATFE regarding the proposal ATF 2021-05. This proposal has potential to put what is currently considered law-abiding people at risk by simply possessing certain parts of the firearm. An ATF proposal is very broad and open-ended. This is harmful because the ATF would have a loose definition of what a firearm is based on, and what the ATF says is readily convertible to become a firearm, perhaps even a pistol slide. Currently, the ATF has attempted to target manufacturers and individuals for making parts and accessories claiming they are firearms, but has had to drop these charges because those parts and accessories didn't meet the ATF's actual definition of a firearm. Having a loose definition open to agencies' interpretation is not fair to lawful gun owners and is an overreach of power. Thanks, Blake. It was a good one. And it wasn't an anti-boilerplate. 87346. I am a U.S. Forest Service Forest Protection Officer, not sworn. And this proposal is written in such a way that it would prove to be unenforceable. Based on my limited enforcement experience with Title 36 of the definitions of frame and receivers and firearms are so broad, the proposal seems to be intentionally written to allow the ATF to change their interpretation on any given day. This proposal will criminalize me and my family when we have been law-abiding our entire lives. Sweeping changes in the law such as this are more suited to come from Congress. As a taxpayer, I consider the use of public funds as wasteful. This is a good one. As a taxpayer, I consider this use of public funds as wasteful and unnecessary, considering the many other real problems we face. That's awesome. Let me read that one again. As a taxpayer, I consider this use of public funds as wasteful and unnecessary, considering the many other real problems we face. That's from the Forest Service. Forest Service people are better than regular people. The addition of the term privately made firearm and serialization requirements is a drastic change in firearms regulation in this country. I have remained silent until now, but I cannot sit by and allow you to push me to the wrong side of the law when I've been such an ardent supporter of law enforcement for so long. Thank you. It's an awesome comment. So, that chick is awesome. Next up is 87354. I am writing in support of the... Are any of these? They have to be written because they're too stupid and cheap and lazy to make a form, which I guess is good. And then, so they all write them, but they all just copy and paste this part. I am writing in support of blah, blah, blah. The proposed rule would restrict criminals or extremists who want to create untraceable guns without a background check, traceable to safety and saving lives. I don't think they should be able to have a car then. Because if they can't drive good, then they can't have a car. 87340. I am in support of the ATM. So let's see. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that weren't anti, and 2 of those are a boilerplate, a copy of each other. How many have we had that are anti? Oh, snap. Most of them are antis. Next one, boilerplate. GOA, cut and paste, nothing new. Next one. This is a shitty one, and it's written by an anti, but it's long, so we're going to have to read it. So, we're listening to a commercial. I'm drinking some water. I'm not drinking coffee. I'm drinking some water. Let's go to here. Let's go to here. Boom.
Борис, ты никогда не проигрывал.
Потому что я пью много водки.
Юрий, нам надо отмыть эти грязные деньги от крови.
Проклятые американцы!
Тепло сегодня для июля.
Юрий, кто эти бабы?
Ирина, это же наши дочери.
Черт, так же давно я пью. Как же вкусно, твою мать.
Россия, матушка, золото Катя.
Отец, медведь опять убежал.
Идиот, Ты выключил ядерный реактор. Блядь. Будешь сегодня ночью взламывать мне Пентагон. Опять!
A little glimpse into what it's going to be like when we're in Soviet Russia land. It might seem really fun and everything till the bears get you. All right, so here we go. 87322. I support the rule on so-called ghost guns that has been proposed by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, ATF, and I urge ATF to finalize the rule as proposed and treat ghost guns the same as other guns. Ghost guns are do-it-yourself firearms that can be acquired without a background check and lack serial numbers, so they cannot be traced by law enforcement. By selling the key components of firearms as intentionally unfinished rather than fully assembled firearms, ghost gun companies manage to skirt federal gun laws. Buyers who aren't required to pass federal background checks can quickly and easily convert these unfinished parts into fully functional firearms using common household tools like toothpaste and wax paper. As a result, nothing is stopping a person who is prohibited from possessing a firearm, like an extremist, from making a ghost gun. Ghost guns are frequently moved by traffickers because they are easier to obtain and harder to track than traditional firearms, leading to more and more ghost guns being traded on the black market and used in criminal activity. Ghost guns have been used to shoot police officers, commit mass shootings, and murder children. And extremist groups are increasingly arming themselves with these dangerous weapons. As proposed, ATF's proposed rule would change the definition of firearm to include components that are intentionally left unfinished. As a result, these parts could only be sold after a background check and would have to be serialized. There would be no more crime. This would help stop the flow of these dangerous, untraceable weapons to people legally prohibited from possessing guns, like extremists. This is a common sense solution to a critically important problem. I wholly support this rule and urge its immediate adoption. When you put urge in your thing twice, you know the ATF is going to dig it because they like reading the word urge. They say it really weird and they rub themselves. Assholes. So that's a lot of writing for somebody that hates. They passionately hate your rights a lot. A whole bunch. They wrote all that shit because of how much they hate your rights. And they're so afraid. Think of how many things you could talk about that's back-ass words in that damn letter. 87311. I am writing in support of the ATF. 87315. To whom it may concern, I do not support the proposed changes of this rule. This gives ATF too much leverage over manufacturers and civilians, and this was not the agency's purpose at its creation. But more importantly, the change isn't focused on realistically making anyone safer. Focus should be on social constructs that force people to act violently and aggressively, gangs and drugs, which are responsible for many deaths by using a firearm, and their living conditions. If you're smart enough to operate a 3D printer or a drill press, you're smart enough to be a responsible contributing member of society. You take an oath to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution. That includes the First and Second Amendment. Thank you for your time. I mean, it's on our side, but it's all over the place. Next up is 87292. I am writing in support of the ATF. Let's just put this one over here. All right, so here's the deal. Nobody gives a shit about the comments. They're being used by the antis at a factor at this point of 2-to-1 against us. And what are they going to do? Are they going to say, oh, we got a bunch of comments? Or are they going to say, well, we got a bunch of comments and all the comments say the guns are bad, yo. So, yeah, there you go. Inevitable, the inevitable loss of all guns, just displayed on this screen by the number of antis and good ones. All right, so we'll close those tabs. That was the redefinition of firearms. That just gets rid of ghost guns. We're just giving them ghost guns. That's no big deal. That's a good compromise. They'll leave braces alone, and then we'll have goofy braces to play with. So it's cool. Let's go read some. Anybody show hands? Anybody wants to read Brace comments? Let's see. Guns are smuggled out of America, not into it. You don't bring chicken to KFC. Well, if you want to eat chicken, you do. Beluga and bears. The ratio is for simple or overall? Well, not for this sample, not overall. But why do we have to bring facts into this? Trying to hype trying to scare everybody here. So facts don't apply. All right, so now we're going over to the pistol brace one. We're going over to the comment tab. We're going to sort it by newest to oldest. And then guess what we're going to do? Right click and open in a new tab on a bunch of the pistol brace comments. And they're going to be stuff like this. Leave my pistol brace alone. Leave my pistol brace alone, please. They're going to say shit like that. So we're going to right click, open in a new tab. Oh, I opened it in the wrong place. Open in a new window. That one's out of order. Sorry about that. So this one here actually should be the newest one. I'm never going to be able to remember that. Well, I guess it'll always be the one to the right of the one I opened right now. Oh, I'm going out of order. All right, these are not in order. Technically, if you're listening to these and doing some sort of check to see if they're in order, they are not in the actual order. Ugh, look at how long this one is. Ugh. Gotta read this, and there's attachments. Ugh. I don't want to read all this. This is comment 120,054. I came across the document related to the point system for braces called Factoring Criteria for Rifled Barrel Weapons with Accessories, commonly referred to as stabilizing braces. I am opposed to such a system. I have previously commented on the proposed rule to ban pistol braces, particularly in the AR-15 and similar platforms. I am against such a ruling change that makes current law-abiding citizens into criminal in a wholly arbitrary and capricious manner after legally purchasing a firearm, or legally purchasing a legal firearm, or require them to pay a prohibitive tax with a totally unreasonable and arbitrary delay in getting a license, so that getting a license also has many restrictions related to the use of that firearm. In addition, this whole effort is intending to solve a problem that does not exist based on criminal firearm data. It is politically motivated, being at the whim of politicians, and is an assault on our freedoms as American. Okay, so I'm going to comment, because what the hell? This is the worst one ever so far, at least as far as like smashing everything together. So the ATF being at the whim of politicians is the worst thing ever. So be accurate. Don't just assume they know what the hell you're talking about. After reviewing and trying to understand it, and what the hell is this? I came across the document related. How about you start the thing instead of like in the middle of some story? You just start the thing with like ATF, whatever, the actual number of the thing, blah, 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 05, I think on this one, or is it 08? I'm not reading this one. This one's on our side, but it's already bothered me, so we're going over here. This one is boilerplate. No, it isn't. 120130. RE ATF 2021 R-08. So at least right now, boom, they include that piece. I request that the ATF withdraw its proposed rules on pistol braces. That's pretty easy to understand and right at the beginning of it, easy to figure out. Then to clarify, there are over 3 million pistol braces in use, making them common. This new rule would turn millions of law-abiding gun owners into felons. The proposed worksheet used to classify firearms as either pistols or short-barreled rifles. No pistol brace firearms would count as a pistol. The proposed worksheet is confusing and unfeasible for millions of law-abiding pistol brace owners, and would make someone a felon if the sheet is filled out incorrectly. Not to mention, many disabled citizens use pistol braces to adapt to their disabilities. Under Section 2 of the proposed practically all pistol braces previously approved by ATF would be classified as short-barreled rifle. This proposal will do nothing to prevent criminals or make the public safer. That's a good one. Really good, actually. Next up is 120125. I believe this proposed regulation is completely arbitrary and leaves more questions unanswered than answered. Just getting through the first checkbox section of the worksheet that an agent works through is completely unclear as to why or why not an accessory should be removed from the firearm prior to measurements and what should be left on there. A 4-pound handgun is a very heavy handgun. This would completely discriminate against anyone with a disability, lower strength, etc. Section 2, it is completely subjective, and subjective decisions will be made by an investigating agent. If a brace is not legal, why would it have ever been approved in the first place? That goes back on you guys to determine what is and isn't an approved or stabilizing brace, not a field agent to determine. The wording regarding the overall score of the firearm by an accumulation of points does not clarify anything, and again, I believe this entire process to be entirely subjective. I'm not opposed to regulation and proper management of firearms, but the regulation should be based on actual instances, numbers, and actual data. If you make my infringement pretty, I'll accept it. This proposal, as it is currently written, does not seem to be based on anything factual. Therefore, I feel compelled to submit a comment hoping this regulation will not be enacted. That's somebody who's on our side, but if it looks nice enough, they'll walk to the other side anytime. 120, 122. Sorry, yes, 120,122. Ever heard of a break-in paragraph, dude? I am failing to see why pistol braces face such scrutiny. Do we not have bigger problems as a nation? Damn, leave it like that. Put an enter. I was led to believe the Second Amendment clearly stated shall not be infringed, and infringement seems to be par for the course these days. The absolute vast majority of the items our government wants to take or regulate is owned and used lawfully by legal owners who have invested their hard-earned money into something they thought useful. By going forward with this proposal, millions of Americans would have to stop using something useful and expensive that hasn't caused anyone harm or risk becoming a felon. Does this seem fair to anyone? And for what? Whose life is this going to save? I am quite a large young man, physically capable of more than the average human being, and in order for me to fire the average AR-15 pistol with any hope of accuracy or safety require a brace. I truly feel our rights are being chipped away a little at a time as to not trigger any sort of backlash, all under the guise of safety or law and order. Because if the ATF just came out and said they want all the guns, they would have mutiny. So they do it slowly and methodically, playing the long game. This criteria stating what classifies a pistol versus a felony is absurd. Seems like a good way to justify the existence of more ATF agents, but that's it. Costing taxpayers more and more each and every year. Not to mention all the wrecked lives and millions in court costs and incarceration fees. Again, I ask for what? Who is winning here? Seems like it just makes us all losers. Wouldn't a much easier solution be to repeal the law making short barrel rifles illegal? I mean, an SBR is basically a pistol anyway, and those are okay. Why hassle any law-abiding citizen for the attachments on his firearm? He is obviously not trying to do harm. Does the brace make the bullets any more or less deadly? Does a shorter barrel make the gun more wicked? Of course not. A brace helps the shooter shoot more accurately. Don't we all want that? I know I would feel better knowing someone's rounds weren't flying around erratically. I digress. I guess my most basic problem with this proposal or any further infringement is one simple fact. Anyone looking to use any weapon to inflict harm is not going to care about what the law says he can't. In short, criminals don't care about your laws. So that being said, who is this going to affect? Will it have any impact at all on reducing today's crime? I, for one, say absolutely not. It will, however, create a lot more criminals. Good, hardworking people who simply don't want to give something up that's theirs. They like their freedom, and they feel cheated when the government tries to take their belongings. These honest citizens who up till now have been nothing but great for this country and communities are felons overnight. And what will that do to our communities as a whole? When you take out some of the good ones and make them bad ones, we all lose. What happens to that hardworking, contributing member of society after a prison stint, after a felony record? Methinks he may just stay a bad guy. Is this what the government wants? Do they want every community to fall into crime-riddled poverty just so that they can come in and save the day with whatever cockamamie craziness they would like to try out? Not me. I love this country and the way it was set forth 245 years ago. The more we try to change the Second Amendment, the worse things get. These founding fathers were smart, very smart. Our nowadays politicians could learn a thing or two. I just don't understand why banning something that makes a firearm more accurate. Who has been victimized by a brace? Why make more and more gun laws that only affect the law-abiding? How about placing that blame on the shooter's feet instead of messing with me? I have never used a gun in anger and will never do so. I only invest in legal items, but the ATF changes its mind and I'm left holding the bag. I know there are millions that feel the same, even if they don't all see the value in typing a huge diatribe like me. Just my 2 cents. More than 2 cents, dude. And that's a lot of stuff, but I read it, and I think it's worth reading it. There's a lot of stuff in there. Hit times and make that into multiple comments. But, comments don't matter. Nobody uses comments. They're boring. Number 120047. The short-barreled rifle law is a silly leftover provision from when Congress was considering banning pistols. The reason for the regulation on short-barrel rifles was to prevent individuals from illegally obtaining pistols. Further regulation in this area is unnecessary. Next up is 120082. This proposal law essentially criminalizes people after the ATF's own rulemaking made it legal in the first place. I purchased a pistol with a brace I purchased a pistol with a brace as well as many over 3 million others in the country. The length of pull requirement that was added recently by the ATF increased the already vague nature surrounding this previously legal device. Now they plan to add a point system. All right, that'd be on there. Now they had to add a point system, which after plugging in several of my guns and others into it, not one qualified as a pistol at this point. This new rule adds complexity and onerous qualifications that are not needed and won't reduce crime. They unnecessarily target legal gun owners and not criminals. There is a very subjective nature due to it being so vague that any agent willing to push the limits could find a fault with the firearm. Statistics just don't prove a need to further regulate this device. Rifle deaths are such a low minority of all gun-related deaths, I don't see any logical reason behind supporting this measure. Next up is 120090. Maybe I should be drinking coffee. My arm is killing me from wailing on that roof yesterday, so it's hard to lift up this cup of water. Bears need the pistol races. Oh, because of DJ's thing up here. I've been including, I demand you immediately dismiss, something like that. I don't ask, we're the boss. Right on. Yeah, I like the comments that are telling them what to do myself, because exactly, they're just employees, and they're employees that are acting poorly. They're asking permission to do something stupid. Tell you what, let's have a commercial for just a moment. And anybody can do this. You can go over to StreamYard if you're using it and you're paying money for it, and then go to this video section, and then you can do this. So that was a commercial for barbecues show. All right, next up, 120090. The proposed rule is a holy moly. I think I should take an Advil. The proposed rule is a collection of arbitrary items to describe a level of badness to a stabilizer brace. The ATF has failed to clearly state previously as to what the differences are between a stabilizer braced pistol and an SBR. we now have a situation where stabilizer-braced pistols are in common usage throughout the United States. Deciding to retroactively criminalize some or all of the stabilizer-braced pistols is not going to hold up to judicial scrutiny. Trying to criminalize weapons purchased in good faith and blessing of the ATF does not withstand scrutiny through the lens of the Second Amendment. Add to this the potential violation of rights to the disabled who need these braces and also purchase them in good faith, and you are imposing unlawful restrictions on the disabled retroactively. Why is the ATF bothering with this? How many crimes have been committed with a stabilizer-braced pistol? Of these, how many can be proven that the brace somehow enabled the crime as opposed to any other firearm? In conclusion, this proposed rule is worthless to prevent crime while criminalizing millions of law-abiding citizens. Man, it's getting like hard to hear that. Turn citizens into criminals in every comment, but it's turning citizens into criminals instead of going after existing criminals. It's creating criminals, and it's like, oh, everybody says that, but yeah, that's the thing that it's doing to everybody. And why are they bothering with this? I think that's a good one, considering we know that they've already used the lack of need for this whole thing as justification for their lack of attention given to this when the ATF was requested by antis to do the stuff earlier this year. So poking them in that already existing condition, that existing wound, is probably a good idea. All right, next up is 120101. What is it about talking makes me yawn or something? You do not get to make laws. Please stop trying to do so, especially with laws that will incriminate millions of law-abiding citizens. You are trying to extort us with the threat of prison. You want to write laws? Remember that extortion is illegal. Okay. It's true, though. All right, next up is 120105. This is 100% boilerplate from the Guns of America. Next up is 120134. This got boilerplate, but it's got like a lot in front of the boilerplate, and that's what we're going to read. I'm legally disabled, and being able to use a shorter configuration with a pistol brace allows me to keep the tradition of hunting white-tailed deer with my father going. My other long gun is simply too heavy for me to carry it and hold up well enough as an effective shot to take the deer humanely. Please do not take this away from me and so many other law-abiding Americans by banning or restricting the pistol brace. Yes, there are a few idiots out there who have used or may use something with the brace to illegally shoot others, but the key word here is illegally. Criminals won't care if you ban these, not one bit. They will use them regardless of whether a law is put into place, because that's the nature of a criminal, to ignore the law. Also, take into account the numbers. The numbers don't support that making braces illegal or restricting them would actually put any kind of dent in gun crime at all. The fact is that sporting rifles such as the AR-15 only account for less than 4% of shootings and the murders committed yearly, and even smaller percentage of these criminals have had a pistol brace on the firearm as well. Almost all gun crime across the board can be attributed to an average handgun. Banning, restricting pistol braces won't curb any of the gun violence we see in our nation whatsoever. Thank you for taking the time to read this, and I hope you make the right decision by not making pistol braces illegal. And then they have, or they say, take care and God bless, and then they have a bunch of boilerplate from Gun Owners America. And then this one just only has boilerplate from Gun Owners America. Next up, boilerplate from Gun Owners America. And boilerplate from Gun Owners America, followed by a paragraph in front of the boilerplate by Gun Owners America. The paragraph for 120131 is, this is absolutely unconstitutional. That's all in caps, so you know how they feel about it. We all know it, and we understand we all know it. We understand there is a view to change social norms, and there's alternative ways to go about that. probably more effective, that don't infringe on 2A rights. Pump your brakes, please, and put efforts into less invasive strategies that do not involve incriminating your faithful citizens. Ugh. I don't like that one. That one's weird to me. And then there was a bunch of boilerplate from Gun Owners America. Next up is 120121. I am not in favor of banning pistol braces. It is very, very clear that this is an infringement of my right to bear arms, and I am not convinced that this proposed legislation would do anything positive for anyone other than a government intent on registering and controlling its populace. That hurt a lot. Ow. I had no idea how much my snapped fingers hurt, but it was worth a painful snap for that one. All right, here's that one I refused to read earlier. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to be upset about it. 120054. I came across the document related to the point system for braces called The Factoring Criteria for Rifle Barrel Weapons with Accessories, commonly referred to as stabilizing braces. I am opposed to such a system. I have previously commented on the proposed rule to ban pistol braces, particularly on the AR-15 and similar platforms. I am against such a ruling change. I am against such a ruling change that makes current law-abiding citizens into criminals in a wholly arbitrary and capricious matter after legally purchasing a firearm, or require them to pay a prohibitive tax with a totally unreasonable and arbitrary delay in getting a license that also has too many restrictions related to the use of that firearm. In addition, this whole effort is intending to solve a problem that does not exist based on criminal firearm data. It is politically motivated. Being at the whim of politicians is an assault on our freedoms as Americans. After reviewing and trying to understand it, I'm opposed to the point system for braces called the Factoring Criteria for Rifle Barrel Weapons with Accessories, commonly referred to as stabilizing braces. My first objection is the complexity of this system. It uses terms that I do not understand and demands expertise in areas that are beyond my knowledge and that of other ordinary citizens. It has measurement systems that are not clearly defined. Then it uses very general terms that are too open to interpretation. The person of authority to make the final decision won't be the American citizen owner of the firearm or the law-abiding citizen who might be quite knowledgeable. It will fall on the trained or possibly poorly trained authority figure that might not have proper knowledge. They will then be forced to make an arbitrary decision to fit their agenda and reinforce their presumed position of authority and power. As a result, it is basically an entrapment system conceived to make someone unaware of the legality of a product until discovered by an expert of questionable expertise or a person of authority in a specific moment in time. This ruling and the point system could turn an otherwise law-abiding citizen suddenly into a criminal without their knowledge and therefore doing criminal activities as defined by a secretive government with hard to understand and vague definitions. That government authority expert could quite easily be wrong, but the vagueness and lack of common knowledge of these terms in the point system could cause the item to be seized and never returned without extensive legal fees and court intervention. This is entrapment of a citizen. This could easily be illegal seizure of personal property. This point system seems to be focused on 2020's technology and specific products on the market for a specific type of aging designed firearm. With American ingenuity, this will become rapidly outdated as new and improved products come to be developed and market. I think the whole idea of banning or using excessive licensing requirement to control shorter barrel weapons is not even a valid concept. A shorter barrel firearm is less accurate and less powerful than its otherwise equivalent longer barreled counterpart. Why would you control a less powerful and less accurate configuration of firearm without any data support? These types of weapons are of an exceptionally hazard firearm compared to its longer barrel brother, unless it's politically motivated, totally politically motivated. The Second Amendment gives us law-abiding citizens the right to own and bear firearms without political intervention for a nebulous, misguided agenda. If reducing the ability to conceal a slightly shorter weapon were truly the issue, one would have to ask why something 32 inches long is easier to conceal something 36 inches long. It's a rather weak concept and very much arbitrary. When the rules for short barrel firearms were created, the type of firearm that many are currently trying to ban, the AR-15, did not even exist. A handgun is vastly easier to conceal than any rifle-style firearm of any length, and handguns are used in almost all firearms-related criminal activity. That's the data. So this whole exercise is an attempt to solve a problem that doesn't exist. The real problem is the criminal themselves. Those that desire to harm others. Action needs to be taken to prevent that behavior so we become peaceful like other industrialized nations. I do not see any definitions or points allocated for the type of person owning these firearms. Type of person owning these firearms. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's a long one. There's some good stuff in there, but it was written poorly. And whatever, we read it now. Patriot saying, I dislike the use of the term gun violence. I think it's dumb. Yeah, it's super dumb. I agree with you. And it's designed to imply, right? It's designed to put guns and violence together, right? It's designed to remove the individual from the equation. So it was originally come up with the whole point of it is deception, and then it gets regurgitated. And that's the sad part, is when people regurgitate stuff that was designed to be against them. Let's see, Patriot's saying, isn't it a problem when they say proposed legislation, because it's not legislation since it didn't go through Congress? Well, that's a super good point. Yeah, it's sort of like when people go around saying lawmakers. It's like, why don't you suck on them more? Like, they're not lawmakers. Like, they may go around doing that, but that's not their effing job. Their job is to represent us in Congress, and that's one of the features of that gig. But their sole point isn't to be a lawmaker. So when people go around calling them that, yeah, you might as well be being part of the effort to move the Overton window. Let's see, 2 good points. I wouldn't think a comment misidentifying it as legislation would get them tossed, but you never know. No, it's not like that. It's just a matter of being accurate and being accurate with each other. People say, oh, echo chamber. Yeah, echo chambers are like singing to the choir, I guess. Singing to the choir is necessary. If you don't get together as a choir and sing once in a while, then you're just all singing whatever song you want to sing. And maybe you sound good together, maybe you don't. But the way you get in step, the way you get in tune, I guess the way I say it, is by singing together. So you got to sing to the choir every once in a while. If you only sing to the choir, you're wasting your time. I'm not seeing this attached file. So next up, that one just said, see attached file. The whole comment was see attached file. All right, we'll see the file. Dear Sir, in reference to docket number, the proposed rule change that includes the new point system is both confusing and has no basis in established law. Many U.S. citizens have purchased pistol brace in the last several years with the intention of following the law. Changing the rules after thousands of U.S. citizens have purchased pistol braces will create confusion. I look forward to your reply on this important issue. All right. So I guess, you know what? That might be like a fax or something. Maybe it's a fax. You know what, though? We're going to take a break, and I'm going to drink some water.
The DC Project, 50 women descending on our nation's capital to put a face on the Second Amendment.
For me, the Second Amendment is about family heritage.
To defend against hate crimes.
My right to protect my family.
Gives me the right to decide when I need protection.
Because you should never be denied a chance to protect yourself and your loved ones.
My firearm levels the playing field against someone trying to hurt me.
It means survival.
My responsibility.
I am my own first responder.
Because some believe no means yes.
It's a peace of mind.
Provide food for my family. Recreation and sport.
Confidence that I can take care of myself.
My right to life.
It's my liberty.
I refuse to be a victim.
The protection of my children.
Confidence in our nation's present and future.
Legacy.
Legacy.
My birthright as an American.
And mine too.
All right, that's a DC project. A bunch of ladies that go meet with those representatives, changing the face of gun ownership. They're trying to get all their delegates to Florida in October for some up training, skill building, and whatnot. I encourage you to Bring that up with people. You never know when a gun shop or someone might be interested in sponsoring their state delegates to help get them there. Thanks, DJ, for dropping the link. Next up is comment 120040. I believe this proposed rule is unfairly targeting legal users of firearms and based on significant misinformation. That's a great first sentence. I messed up by yawning in the middle of it. Let me say it again. I believe this proposed rule is unfairly targeting legal users of firearms and is based on significant misinformation. Many ATF determination letters have already addressed this issue. Owners, manufacturers, and users have complied with determinations already based on ATF guidance to reopen, reimagine, or redefine what has already been legally defined is in poor form and an abuse of your role in our government. Thank you for your consideration. It's a really good one. So it says the proposed rule. So that's probably the better way to refer to it, right? I like significant misinformation. I like that. Comment number 120057. This is yet another attempt to infringe on our natural rights. It's time to stop compromising, take a stand, and say enough is enough. Extremist. Next up is 120045. As of now, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Under this proposal, even with my disability, I will be considered a felon using a pistol brace to operate an AR pistol. This is an attempt by ATF to hinder my rights under the Second Amendment. The job of ATF is to enforce firearm law and not make it. With my disability and age, I can no longer hold an AR pistol without a brace. If ATF wants to change firearms law, go to Congress. Why is it always law-abiding citizens who are punished for the evil committed by criminals? This is nothing but another push to weaken the constitutional rights we the people have. I'm saddened by our government that only wants to strangle our rights under the Constitution. This proposal has so much doublespeak that whoever in ATF that came up with it needs to learn to articulate their message with simple layman's terms. ATF needs to focus on gun crime. This proposal should be removed for consideration. That one was good. I would take a couple of those points and use them. This is what you call boilerplate, copy and pasted from Gun Owners America without any effort beyond that. Click, paste, like this. Click, paste. Next up is 120113. RE, I'm going to change chairs. Hold on. Here, you'll get a commercial. I'm going to change chairs. It's going to hurt, so it's going to take me a second. So you're going to get another long commercial. There you go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Locked and Loaded Latinos podcast. I am Rolo, the Puerto Rican Pistolero, and as always, I am joined by my lovely, beautiful wife and co-host, Joe, Latina Locked and Loaded. How are you doing this evening, my love?
Hello, everyone.
And today is actually May the 2nd.
May the 2nd.
Yeah, so May the 2nd be with you guys.
Assert your right to defend your life.
That's my intro that I made. So, or my commercial that I added there, old intro. Let's see. So now I'm in a stool, so it's way more uncomfortable, but I am almost standing, so now my legs don't hurt as bad. Let's see. So REATF 2021 R-08. I've utilized pistols equipped with stabilizing braces for many years as a lawful citizen and retired public servant in EMS and now law enforcement. I do not wish to be considered a criminal along with millions of others who have lawfully acquired the subject braces and are using them responsibly. My lawfully acquired stabilizing brace equipped pistol does not meet any of the proposed criteria to remain a pistol. What is currently proposed is not only another infringement on my Second Amendment rights, but is also a deprivation and retroactive taxation of lawfully acquired property. Interstate travel requirements. My stabilizing brace equipped pistol accompanies me during frequent and unplanned interstate travel. If forced to register my pistol as an SPR, I will be restricted from states that do not allow SPRs, as well as not having time to comply with ATF's notification requirements. 922R, applicability. If forced to register my stabilizing brace equipped pistols as SPRs in order to keep my arm braces, the pistols, now rifles, would be in violation of 922R, incorporating more than 10 foreign-made parts. There are no U.S.-made part alternatives, so I would be denied my Second Amendment rights to avoid non-compliance with 922R. It's interesting. If ATF 2021 R-08 is pursued in its current form, I urge the below options are made available for existing pistol arm brace owners. 1. Grandfather clause for existing pistol arm brace configurations possessed prior to enactment. 2. Fast track, no cost SPR registration process. 3. Exemption from 922R for foreign made pistols that are registered as SPRs. And they put their name kinda in their Washington. So it started out all good, and then it kind of got wiggly, and then it just went full infringement. So starts out all right, no problem. I'm all right with it, and then it goes, my stabilizing brace accompanies me during frequent interstate travel, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. Not very many people have brought up that point. And then 922R. So first off, he's got an AK pistol, so he's an extremist. And then he says, blah, blah, 922R. I don't know where this guy thinks that 922R pops up all of a sudden with machine guns. Guess what? Machine guns don't apply to 922R. They're not guns anymore, guy. They're now federally registered NFA items. That's not a gun anymore. It's just federally registered NFA item, and it doesn't apply to 922R. So I don't know if this guy's just looking for new things to complain about or if he's just wrong, but this seems wrong to me. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I'm pretty sure that guy's wrong. Then he's like, oh, let me just bend over, get myself all ready for you, and then do what you want. Here's 3 things you can do to me. Screw all that. I'm not even reading all that again on that part of his comment. Next up is 120068. And it is completely copy and pasted boilerplate Gun Owners of America. All right, next up is 120108. All of these measures are roadblocks to honest, law-abiding citizens who have no criminal past and plan on no criminal activity in the future. In fact, they only hurt people who may need them the most for personal protection by adding undue measures and burdens that would put them out of reach for the average citizens and those looking for ways to defend family and homes. These measures will not curb gun violence because they are not the items being used in most crimes. Statistics show that armed citizens who obey the laws already on the books are not the problem. Please focus your attention on the areas that will be most effective and enforceable. Put your guys on the streets of the cities most affected. Work with the local police agencies to apprehend criminals who use firearms to commit crimes. Use the laws already on the books to give them maximum sentences. Punish those who willingly and knowingly break the law, not the law-abiding. I only have guns for these reasons. They are fun to shoot. They are protection for my family from the lawless. Both of these things rest easily inside the lawful and are safe to the general public. People like me are not the problem. Thank you for your time. And then boilerplate from Gun Owners of America. Last two. This looks like boilerplate, but it's not. 120135. To whom it may concern, this proposal is inherently unconstitutional and intends to make criminal a simple device that improves both the stability and safety of pistols. It will do little to stop criminals or actual gun violence in the United States and will further infringe on the constitutional and property rights of millions of law-abiding citizens who only have these devices in the first instance because they were complying with the law. As a married man, these devices are of even more importance as they help my wife and daughter use heavier pistols as easily as a much larger men, both for sporting and self-defense, which may be a discriminating factor overlooked by the ATF and Department of Justice. The suggested point system further punishes smaller shooters and makes it harder for people to use these tools to defend themselves in a safe and efficient manner. Again, these changes will do nothing to inhibit criminals, but will actively reduce the safety of law-abiding citizens in genuine self-defense situations. The products being regulated here only exist in the first instance because of arbitrary and unconstitutional laws. Please cease the unabashed attack on the Second Amendment, and please stop the ATF from continuing to suddenly reinterpret rules as it sees fit, especially ones that have been in place for years. It is not a legislative body. Thank you. God bless the United States of America. So that's interesting. It was a good one. And then the last one we're going to read is my computer broken? Am I being hacked? What's happening? I don't agree with the point system that attempts to score how a pistol might be used. Enforceable laws should be, and usually are, concise. While we all appreciate concise and clear laws, this is not that. This leaves everyone with a very complicated set of sometimes contradictory rules to follow, which can easily be miscalculated. Stabilizing braces don't make pistols any more dangerous in the hands of law-abiding citizens. All pistols should be fired with both hands, and the additional stabilization from the brace is gained whether it's strapped on the arm, rested on the shoulder or chest, even on inanimate objects like sandbags. I do not understand the intended purpose of prosecuting citizens for accessories and for how they could intend to use them. That was good too. Oh my goodness. Do I need to take a nap? I just woke up. Am I drinking sleeping potion? What's happening here? So that was 50 comments, free of charge, except for this dude paid me $5 to read them. It's like I'm gonna do, no, $20. Holy crap, $20. I thought it was like $5. Thank you very much for that. So snap. I'm gonna go take the rest of the day off. Yeah, so here's the deal. There's a bunch of comment periods, same time. Government's like, just this big thing. It's like basically the government is one of those merry-go-rounds in a playground, and then some asshole's on it, and you're going to come over and be like, oh, I'm going to get on that merry-go-round, and they're going to do some weird trick, one of the different things you can do. And probably kids today don't even realize all the things you could do to get somebody to not get on your merry-go-round. But they're going to do some weird garbage, and then now you're going to be like, oh, I'm never going to go to the park again, or I'm never going to play on a merry-go-round again. Why? Because of some jerk was sitting on it? Maybe I should say merry-go-round. Maybe I should say swing sets. Do kids ever, or maybe slides. Slides. Kids take over slides all the time, right? So let's say you go to the park and some kid's taking over a slide. Some jerk girl took over the slides. You can't get on a slide. But you can never play on a slide again. You're not going to go to the park. Like you're not going to have your birthday party at the park because of some jerk girl one time took the slides away from you. So that's what I look at this as. We got this bunch of jerks who've got the slide, and we're either going to go, I don't want to go to the park anymore, or like, I don't want to play on the slides because we're going to concede to the bully, or we're going to say to the bully, get off of the slide, jerk, and I don't need to bring my parents over. We're going to take care of this. So let's take care of it. Let's work together and fend off the people who are abusing the system to make the frustrated weak, apathetic, or distrust the system. The rest of everybody else ain't even listening to this. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening live. Leave some comments if you want. And notice how many people got butthurt when I called out people for not paying attention to comments. Thanks for throwing the links in there, DJ. Appreciate it. have a good day. Let's see, what's today? Tuesday? So there's nothing on today. Ghost is on later, and then the rip-off of the Daily Gun Show is on after that. Sometimes Guns for Everyone has a podcast. I think that's it. Am I missing something? We'll pick you up later.